Good morning, and welcome to the John Telford Detroit Show, coming to you on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and other top social media platforms on WJZZ, the coolest station in the world. Dr. John Telford has long been called a lightning rod for controversy, who retired in 1991 as Deputy Superintendent of Schools in a 98% white Rochester, Michigan, where skinheads riddled his house with midnight gunfire for hiring black administrators. After retiring, he became an executive director in the Detroit Public Schools, where he clashed with inept top administrators. He served most recently as the superintendent of the Madison District Schools and was fired for recruiting hundreds of Detroit students against the wishes of white residents. Undefeated at 400 meters in Europe as a world-ranked sprinter, Dr. Telford coached champions and authored a noted book on the quarter mile, The Longest Dash. In 1978, he was inducted into the Wayne State University Athletic Hall of Fame. He has written newspaper columns, hosted radio shows, and directed human rights agencies. A former director of the innovative and controversial Division of Basic Education in Macomb Community College and a published poet, he also taught at Wayne State and Oakland universities. Wayne State University named Dr. Telford as Distinguished Alumnus of the Year in 2001, and for his civil rights activism. A Detroit high school track is named in his honor. Throughout the years, his students have consistently pronounced him a great teacher. Their accolades are the ones the 73, or what is it now, 86-year-old activist values the most. I introduce our poet in residence at DPS, the great and informidable Dr. John Telford.
Thank you, Dr. Sunanda Corrado, for that glowing introduction, which she found online because we don't have the one that we usually use here, but she rescued me. I didn't bring the other one.
Dr. Telford, you got so many bios online, truly.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you found that one. I didn't even remember that one.
You have lived many lives.
You got that one. More lives than a cat.
Many lives. God bless.
My name is Detroit. I'm a blue-collar town. Blue salt melts my mid-March snow. Speedy cars and sprinters spring from me. I father fierce fighters and funky music. In a Motown moment, I can spit the blues right back in a bureaucrat's eye. Have you never seen blue salt? No complex chemistry here, only the old color of a new sky. And there's a new sky dawning on Detroit today because we have got Sherry Gade and Yogo in the studio today. We've got her in here again, this time in person, and she is running for Congress. She is a school board member, DPSCD school board member, a former state representative. And before I bring Sherry on formally, I want to read a poem that I've got in the Downtown Monitor. It's out on the stands today because it has a message for all of us. And the title of this poem, it's in Poet's Corner, because I'm the DPSCD poet in residence. They publish me, once a month. The poem's called Rex Reborn. A metaphor, huger than the heaving ferns, looming higher than a hill. The thunder thing at night returns to seek and find and pounce and kill. Jungle fires in the night flicker into spreading flame to cast their blazing blood-red light upon the hunter's hiding game. Found, its tiny quarry flees. Teeth like scimitars gleam wet and drip, descending, pierce and seize. The killer gulps and rears erect. Body shining slimy red, horrid red its staring eye. Tyrannosaurus turns its head to move against the midnight sky. Might once more, in fiery glare, on a new primeval heath, the brute stalk forth to crush and tear and cancel history in its teeth. When I wrote this metaphorical poem in 1962, the brute was mad, M-A-D. U.S.-Soviet mutual assured destruction. The USSR has been partitioned. But now, 60 years later, the Russian brute, actually it's Putin's the brute, the Russian brute is raising its reptilian head again in Ukraine with the very real potential threat of nuclear war. And I'll probably be talking a little bit about that even in this session. But we have Sherry Gaydan-Yogo in the studio today. So Sherry, welcome to the John Telford Detroit Show on WJZZ Internet Television.
Thank you. I had to get that live so people could see you recite that poem. Your poem.
Yeah, well, you know,
I was trying to get your bio while Sonata was reading it, and it took us a minute to kind of get things tagged right. But 86?
86, yeah.
I mean, you're an amazing man that's been committed to education and the city of Detroit and DPS for years.
A centurion.
Well,
Yeah.
well, so are you, Sherry. I mean, you've been doing all kinds of great things for the schools, and you know, I'm almost sorry you're going on to becoming a congresswoman.
I could do more.
Yeah, you can do more, but boy, you are needed on that school board so bad.
Jesus.
You know, Helen Moore. You know, I've met with her a few times. You know, she's talking about putting a slate together again. I don't know. I'd kind of like to see Lamar and myself and who was a lady who used to be on the board. She just got her doctorate. I'm getting so bad on my memory. Ida Shore, yeah, she's been on this show.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that be the slate, maybe with a fourth person, so we can join up with you and finally get this reading program fixed, because you know the test scores, Helen's ranting about them all the time, they're worse in the country. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about your candidacy for Congress.
Yes.
And we didn't have time to write down some questions.
But a lot of your political battles have been upstream. You might be representing Detroit, and we all know that you do. But come election time, you're often battling upstream, be it whatever the powers that be in Detroit.
Right.
So when it came to the school board election, I know that nobody gets paid to be on the school board.
Right.
But there were millions of dollars spent on running candidates, and I would say dark money on running candidates on the school board, and somehow
Yes.
you're the grassroots person who got in.
God is good.
How did that happen?
God is good.
How did that happen against money?
Because, and I tell people all the time, you can stack these endorsement committees like they have been doing in this race.
Mm-hmm.
You can try and manipulate the outcome as much as you like. But the community, the real voters, recognize real.
Mm-hmm.
And they recognize game. And they know that the game has been fixed by the establishment.
Mm-hmm.
And they know who's fighting for them. They know who's been calling out the unjust insurance rates and redlining. They know who's been fighting for expungements for their families. They know who's been fighting against the dismantling of our schools. They know this. So you can't fool them by simply creating a stacked process to say this is the person we're anointing and crowning the candidate. Yeah. So I just have to always speak to my base, which is the streets, the community.
That's right.
Hey, let's get together.
And we're talking
let's get
about
to
the
work. Let's
13th
get ready
district.
to win.
We're talking about a legacy office.
Absolutely.
We're talking about Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick.
Yes.
We're talking about a woman who didn't just shape Detroit.
Absolutely.
But national politics.
You're right.
Black politics across cities across America. And so we've got all these different people coming in. But tell me about the importance of the legacy, especially after redistricting.
Right, and I'm glad you said that. We pay homage to Congresswoman Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick. I'm trying to stay live and talk live to you all at the same time. I tagged the show in, so hopefully your viewers will go to WJZZ Detroit and log in and watch. We want to get their viewership
Coolest station in the world. You gotta check us out.
Yes,
there's so much programming
here in Detroit.
Yeah.
So I say Congresswoman Carolyn Cheeks Kilpatrick served in a manner, first as an educator, as a mom, as a stateswoman
Yes.
in Michigan's legislature, and then going to Washington and fighting, and not just saying they're fighting. We
Yeah.
see a lot of folks talk about they're fighting,
Yeah.
but she brought home money.
Nah.
You know, I was at a meeting where she brought in the Secretary of Transportation, right, in the heart of the city of Detroit. And I'm glad that we have the transit station named after Rosa Parks. But I think it's time that Congresswoman Carolyn Cheese Kilpatrick get her due. And the Q line really should be the Carolyn line.
You know what?
Okay, because it was her money.
The Carolyn line.
The Carolyn line, because it was her money that made that infrastructure even possible.
And now
she
they're
does not
and now
get a lot
they're
of
talking
respect
about
for that.
extending the Q line to Pontiac.
Yes.
Because the longest time we were talking about other ideas about the Q line and why did it just go over a mile and a half of nothing, just back and forth on Woodward. And now we see that the project is going to extend into Pontiac. So there are a lot more people getting their paws into Detroit, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
how's it important that we have a Detroit congressperson represent the city?
Right. So the 13th congressional district now is made up of several cities and municipalities, but however, Detroit has the largest voting block in the 13th district, approximately 56% or so voting age population.
Really?
But it's Wayne, it's Romulus, it's Wyandotte, it's Southgate, it's Taylor, it's Highland Park.
That's right.
It's Hamtramck, it's
That's
the
right.
Grosse Points, it's Detroit East for the most part of Wyoming. It's Lincoln Park. It's Allen Park. And so I want to be that the congressional leader that represents all of the citizens throughout this great district. But you need people who are able to bring people together, and I've demonstrated that. But you need to make sure that we do have a voice coming from Detroit in Washington, because, I mean, we're the heartbeat of the state of Michigan. When you see on the news across the country something that happened out throughout southeastern Michigan or even beyond, they don't say, oh, it happened in Lansing or it happened in Southfield. They say it happened in Detroit. Sometimes unfairly, even when you hear about a number of crimes that have happened, they'll say it happened in Detroit. But we know that there are many great things that come out of Detroit and many great leaders that have come out of Detroit. And so my mentors have been Congresswoman Carolyn Cheese Kilpatrick, the late Congressman Conyers, people that have been on the front lines fighting for civil rights, for justice, equality, and that's the type of leadership that I bring to the table. The late Councilman Clyde Cleveland wasn't in Congress, but he might as well have been. He served the city of Detroit for more than 27 years, fighting for equality, fighting back against...
I went to high school with him, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that was my boss. He did some amazing work fighting to make sure that the utility companies at that time didn't have a monopoly, making sure that the parking lots weren't able to, basically... put the residents in harm's way by these exorbitant rates that they have now that they're able to do. Watch when the opening day come this Friday. You'll see the rates that are skyrocketing.
Yep.
When Clyde was here, he fought against rates price gouging. But we don't have the same type of leadership that's willing to fight back against big money people. And I'm the only candidate. The only candidate that has been willing to do that thus far. And so the people in the community realize that.
So Detroit tried to put together, through the Charter Commission, a way to fight big corporate money, a way to keep middle-class life in Detroit and middle-class values in Detroit. Can you tell me a little bit about your race for mayor, what you found out about some of the problems we have in keeping a substantial middle-class successful base of families in Detroit?
So I didn't run for mayor. I knew.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Right. No. I know. I explored it.
Yeah.
But I didn't run for mayor. But I did support the Charter Commission.
Yeah.
Thank you. A lot of people said quietly that, oh, I wish you had run. But here's what I'm finding in our community. We want the lioness to come out and fight the biggest wars, and fight the biggest injustice. But the quiet behind the scenes support is not enough to really take on Goliath. You know,
That's right.
Yeah, we have our 5 smooth stones and our slingshot, but how many of us are willing to come out and say, I'm standing with her because she always stands with the people? I mean, and that's something that I challenge the grassroots community as well.
We got to get the vote out. What was it? 18%?
But no. But we got to take some time with this. We got to talk about those who are daily talking about the injustice, the benefits agreements that we community benefits agreement that we can't get, the charter commission issues that we couldn't move forward. I mean, I was supporting, I was right there behind the scene with Attorney Richard Mack, Carol Weaver, and the members of the charter commission trying to help them move their proposals forward. And so every fight, I haven't seen a fight that I haven't just jumped in without any selfish agenda or gain, except for having justice. Attorney Todd Perkins, reparations, the ballot initiative that even Council President Mary Sheffield now move forward. So these are things that are just like that are the core of my belief and what I believe in. These are things that I've lifted my voice for. These are things that I've got in the fight, and I didn't need a contract. I didn't need somebody paying me to do the work. I did it because it was the right thing to do.
You did it when you were my deputy superintendent for free.
But
you did it for free. She did it for free.
You're watching the John Telford Detroit Show coming to you live, streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, subscribe to us and the various other social programming that we offer here at WJZZ, the coolest station in the world. And do not forget to pick up your racy edition of A Life on the Run, Seeking and Safeguarding Social Justice.
Yes.
This is an ethnographic tale of personality and leadership. It's the real politics behind the structure of it all. A totally absorbing book. Don't forget to pick up your copy. And we are talking to our congressional candidate for the 13th District, Sherry Gay-Denyogo. And we were talking not just about what's going on in Detroit in terms of representation and corporate money kind of muting the people who've been working to keep the city together all this time. But we're also talking about the potential of somebody at the federal level representing Detroit and what that could mean for the people and what that could mean for us.
Always having a voice to fight for justice. Always having someone that is not committed to lining their pockets or being the select, anointed person that will do as they're told or as they've been bought to do. But someone who is unbought and unbossed. Somebody who looks at injustice and says this is wrong, no matter whose hand is responsible for it. And so if you look at my track record over time, whether it was the EAA, whether it was the dismantling of our schools, whether it was the lack of inadequate revenue sharing, whether it's reparations, I believe in reparations. We are due. Our community that has been hurt by the unjust policies for over 400 years in this country, we deserve reparations. Now, what do those reparations look like? They look like ending student loan debt. That's what they look like. They look like making sure that we have fair access to mortgages, affordable homes, affordable auto insurance, affordable life insurance, prescription drugs. I mean, 86 years young, I thank God that you're in a great position. But we got a number of our seniors who are making decisions every single day on whether to buy food or to buy their prescriptions.
That's right.
And so we got to have people who understand what it means to struggle, to suffer. I'm not ashamed to say I've lost a home before. So you got to realize the type of leader that you're sending to Washington. How many people have gone through foreclosure, not just in the city of Detroit, but throughout Wayne County?
That's right.
And if you don't have any sensitivity towards the issues that these individuals are facing and are having every day, and then just say pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, how can they when their boots have been taken?
So what are we doing to stave off this next round of foreclosures? I understand that the city's asking for money to hire lawyers to help people through the foreclosure process, but doesn't that just mean that Okay, you're out quicker.
Yeah, so the charge, that's not helping us.
No.
That's just paying lining somebody else's pockets to have a contract. So that helps attorneys.
Yeah, it shortens the time. You don't have to come back to court. They got you a lawyer.
Yeah, so the treasurer, Sabri, can assist with many of programs that they have available for our residents to reach out and don't wait until it's too late. Some people don't open the notices. When people
don't want us to open the notices.
Yeah, when they become overwhelmed, in debt, depressed, they tend not to. I can't do this.
They biologically can't. They biologically
yeah.
can't open that notice. The heart rate starts going up. If you actually look at the response to signals, it's like the same as being caught in the middle of an alley in the middle of an assault.
Can't move.
Yeah, you can't open it.
Yeah.
And people don't understand the psychological perplexity, the amount of racial dominance and oppression that it takes to make a common grown man or woman afraid of a piece of paper.
Yes, that's absolutely right. And so it becomes so overwhelming. But we do have to support them, and we have to call out the banks. The banks have gotten a bailout more than once, even during COVID. I mean, we got to be willing to call them out. And so somebody that has served on banking, I served on banking 3 terms. I served as the vice chair of banking for 2 terms. And so I understand what we're facing. And you got to have...
In the school board, you mean?
No, in the legislature.
No, in the legislature.
I serve on finance on the school board as well.
Yeah, okay.
And we have to overview and look at those contracts and the billions of dollars that are coming to DPS as well. So shameless plug, there is a meeting this coming Thursday at Western International.
I've heard about it,
and we need to have our residents that say, oh, we elected you to the school board, come to the school board meeting and stop thinking I can fight every battle by myself. Join the fight is what I'm asking people to do, because we're the candidate, we're the leader, we're the fighter, we're the campaign that gets things done.
So what do you think is going on with the school board and how it handled COVID? And how is that similar to the way the city's doing it? Because I understand we haven't been able to unlock a lot of funds.
Absolutely. So the funds, people have to do like Cuba said, follow the money, follow the money, follow the money. At the end of the day, we don't want just big business to continue to get opportunities. And then our community and the community groups, neighborhood associations, still don't have access to those dollars. I think for the most part, when it came to testing, that was one of the areas that was very important to me. My sister passed from COVID 2020, April 15th. Thank you. And then my stepfather did as well, just 30 days later in May. And then, we lost Isaac Robinson. We lost Senator Morris Hood. We lost Benny Napoleon. There's so many that is unbelievable that we went through.
We lost Raver Johnson, my teammate on the U.S. national team.
So many people. But I think it took some time for the city to ramp up to get the state fairgrounds open. At one point, there was so much challenge at the hospital level for individuals. Remember the cars lined up? And then people that couldn't get a test because they didn't have a prescription. And so I'm very proud that I actually started a program with Dr. Shlomo called My Detroit Doctor. And we did virtual telehealth prescriptions for people that couldn't get in.
What's happening?
What's
happening? What's
well,
happening?
It should have, but
what's happening with the fairgrounds? I'm just putting that. I understand they're demolishing some really historic buildings. Is there any way we can put a stop to that and
Dr.
save
Telford,
them?
I would love to be the person that does everything to save all things, and so I really would, and that's the whole thing. When you're a fighter on the field, everybody expects you to carry everything. Okay, well I know what she did on insurance, but what is she doing about water? Well, I was in the water fight. Oh, well, I know what she did for insurance and water, but what is she doing about state fair? It's like, how many fights can I take on?
We got so many battlefronts we got to fight on all of us.
But wait a minute, let me say this. That's what we can't, we got to be more strategic. And the grassroots community got to come together and stop being so critical of each other, and people line up and do what they are gifted and talented to do, and then we won't be so dispersed and watered down and not winning any fights. But let me say this. This is why Councilwoman Angela Calloway won her race as city council member, because she stood against the plans that were taking place at the state fairgrounds. And so she fought against that. She lifted her voice. And while many people say, oh, she can't win, she won't win,
did.
we were talking and praying and working every day, and she won.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're doing today. And I'm glad that she endorsed my candidacy for Congress.
Oh man, we got to take this thread and stretch it a little bit more, because a lot of people don't know that Detroit is a cultural fertile ground for warrior women who cannot be bought. This isn't just something that is said.
Yes.
This is a practice
Yes.
in terms of generations
Yes.
of amazing, crazy women with high ideals for humanity
Yes,
and their children.
yes.
We're talking about Dr. House, Mother Moore.
Yes.
We're talking about, oh my God, all of a sudden the names are skipping.
Joanne Watson.
Joanne Watson.
Yes,
Oh my God.
yes.
Yeah. And so you're coming from that tradition when
Yes.
you're talking about being a warrior that can't
Alberta
be bought.
Tinsy Talabi.
This isn't a label. This is a practice. This
Yes.
is an ethical practice amongst women of Detroit, professional, educated women who've been keeping the backbone together
Yes.
over since before emergency financial management. Can you talk a little bit about that legacy and how that legacy comes into the 13th district?
You know, if people would trace the history, when I first got into the legislature, I held a luncheon down at the DAC to honor people like Representative. Well, actually, she's the first Speaker Pro Tem, Teola P. Hunter.
Oh,
Teola
yes.
P. Hunter,
Oh, God bless
a
her.
fighter for
Yes.
education. She's endorsed me. She's supporting me. We
Wow.
honored the late.
She's in her 90s now,
No,
right?
well, yeah, right there. So
Amazing
close. Yeah,
woman.
right there. But
Oh,
she
goddess.
still looks amazing. She
Goddess.
just held a meet and greet for me. Her and her godson
I mean it like
down
this.
in Indian Village. We honored the late Alma Stallworth, who was a woman that served in the legislature.
How about Grace Lee Boggs?
Yes.
Well, she is a champion. Has been a champion.
Yes.
We didn't
Shan
get a chance.
Howell.
We didn't get a chance to
She made
honor her, but I
100.
did
She
get
made
an honor.
100.
But I did get an opportunity to get a signed, endorsed book from Grace Lee Boggs.
Oh, wow.
So we have a number of women at that luncheon. Also, the Honorable Joanne Watson.
Oh, amazing
Barbara
queen.
Rose Collins.
Oh,
These
yes.
are what I call my leg matriarchs.
They're my saints of Detroit.
Absolutely, because and I have a group actually,
They are
a group
matriarchs.
of women that are called my warrior women, and I think
Ooh.
they need to realize
warrior women.
why they are called that,
Yeah.
and why I've brought them together,
Yeah.
and the shoulders that they stand on, because that's what it's all about. Women who are unbossed, and are willing to fight for justice at all cost.
Man, so you got to tell us a little bit about the mentorship and the experience coming up as a young woman that made you into this sense. Man, I'm just like grabbing for words, but I'm just like, you're an exalted warrior. You've been fighting for a couple decades for our children,
Yes,
for their
yes.
literacy. And here's the thing: as much as we've been fighting, and as much as we've been doing, and as much as original kind of ways that we've created for kids to resolve these issues, DPS is still the worst school district in the nation. And I want to come back to that.
Not
After.
entirely. Not
this
entirely.
announcement. Wait,
Now,
wait,
you were
I'm not
talking
done
about
yet.
reparations.
Wait, I want to give
You want to talk?
respond.
Well, you want to talk about
After.
DPS?
I do
If
that.
we're going to talk about reparations,
Yeah.
let's get that damn state legislature to do a forensic audit for that
Absolutely.
$3.5 billion.
But I want to bring that up.
Let me talk. That were misspent and stolen. Yeah, you know these ladies. You know they're running away with a bit. You know, but and that's good. That's good. But you know, I want to see a forensic
Yeah.
audit. I
No,
want
shoot.
to.
No, shoot.
So no, let me talk. I want to know
gotta get it in.
where that $3.5 billion went. Every damn dime of it that they misspent and stole under that 2-decade terrible time of the takeover. Where these emergency financial mismanagers were
Yes.
were misspending, and you know it's the state legislature, the Republicans in that legislature, that are accountable for that, and they've never been held accountable. And as far as I'm concerned, people are going to go to prison all the way as far up as Governor
But
Snyder.
if we could ever get the audit, again, I'm the only candidate that has ever stood and called for.
There's your reparations right there.
That is reparations.
So here's the
Call
thing.
for an audit.
Let's come back. Let's come back and revisit this manufactured crisis.
You got to do your
Yep, I got you
station
the
ID.
plug. That's all I'm trying to do is the plug, y'all. Okay, I'm just trying to plug the station. Let's come back and talk about this manufactured crisis and this fake public debt. After you realize that you've been watching the John Telford Detroit Show, coming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe to us and other amazing programming that we offer here on WJZZ, the coolest station in the world. And do not forget to pick up your copy of A Life on the Run, available if you call the good doctor at 313-460-8272. And we are interviewing congressional candidate for the 13th district, Sherry Gayden-Yogo, and we are talking about a false debt, false public debt that Detroit had incurred. And Dr. Telford was just talking about a forensic audit. Could you please go on? Because really, this is like the most schlepped over case in the world. We're living an indentured public life. What's closer to slavery than that?
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
It's just a new form of slavery.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Go ahead.
Oh, so you were so heated. We wanted to give you the stage.
Well, I will say this. Sherry Gayden-Yogo is unbiased and unbought, and she was my deputy superintendent when I was unbiased and unbought, because we were both working
for a dollar.
And these aren't hashtags.
For a dollar.
Unbiased and unbought.
And so was
real.
Claude Tiller, my ombudsman, and Bob Thomas, my other ombudsman. I forget the other guy, but I had all kinds of unbiased and unbought staff that were just working for free.
Yeah.
And they were doing a very good job. And the EAA that you talked about, which, by the way, we finally got rid of.
But look how much damage they did.
Well, they tried to buy me.
They got rid of the communities first. They got rid of the principals
That's
and
intentional.
the teachers who were intensely involved in the kids who and so if you get rid of the worst performing schools, what do? You take the students that can't be resolved and you put them into the more stable schools.
No, they put them into more chaotic schools. That's what they did.
Into complete
the way we got rid of them.
And
Ellen Moore went to
the male
Lansing
teachers.
and finally got them to admit that none of them had passed the test. I think one student.
Their numbers were deplorable, and I had a young man reach out to me 2 weeks ago who was applying to be a Detroit police officer, and he reached out to get his records, and we connected him to make sure that he got his records.
Yeah.
And then his records came, and they gave up to his 11th grade year. And then he reached back out to me to say, hey, my graduation is not on there. Then we have to go through all these ropes to now get his records from what was now an EAA school. People don't know the damage continues.
It's a human rights violation what the EAA did to a whole generation of students in Detroit. We're talking about 15 schools.
Absolutely.
We're talking about a whole generation. And we were just talking about the school to prison pipeline before this even happened.
Yeah, so it's very challenging for me when I see the black bourgeoisie that is unwilling to lift their voices, and those who have gotten positions of authority to now be a part of the game. And there is a concerted effort to make sure that a candidate like myself does not become the next congresswoman. There's a concerted effort. There's an agenda that is being pushed by those that are in control, that are holding the lines, for whatever reason, to not have a justice seeker and a justice fighter that will represent our community. And so my only hope is in the community. My only hope is with those who understand that a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so I come in peace, but I come to fight. I come to fight for the rights of my people and for the redemption of my people and for reparations for my people and everyone throughout the 13th district. They deserve to have clean drinking water, safe air. They deserve to have access to fair banking. They have a right to affordable auto insurance. Seniors white, black, or Indonesian have the right to affordable prescriptions.
Right.
And so these things are not hard. And when you've had somebody that has been on the front lines, that have been fighting for great schools, clean environment, infrastructure that works, repair of roads, access for black contractors, community benefits agreement, why is there such pressure against a candidate that is not just saying that's what they're going to fight for, but what they've already fought for? That's the question. That's the critical thinking of the hour that we need our voters to have wherever they are, from Romulus to the Grosse Pointe. You need a fighter that's willing to get in there and to bring a very diverse community and move agenda forward.
There's a polarity.
Philadelphia has an
discourse.
affordability plan. Philadelphia has an affordability plan
For water. And, yes.
And,
that was based on us.
And I've always been, I didn't ask him when I was running for mayor because I didn't know about it. But now I can't understand why we aren't duplicating that plan here in Detroit.
There's a unspoken holding of the guards. I won't even call it a glass ceiling. I'll call it an evil ceiling. There's something that is seeking to...
It's completely racial.
To smother... It's not just racial. It's not just racial. Because black people, a number of black people are at the helm of it.
Oh, they're being
used by the puppet masters. But we can't just blame everything on race when you got black leadership that gets involved in the same evil agenda to prevent justice from moving forward.
So that was my biggest disillusionment when I came back to Detroit from the suburbs. I was running school districts in the suburbs for about 30 years. I was administrator of Detroit in '69 and then left and came back. But when I came back, I figured I could be welcomed with open arms, because I was hiring black principals and directors in Rochester. They were shooting my house up. And, I came back, oh, man, no more how wrong I was, because I was dealing with black men who had sold out the kids.
Well,
it was a question of classism,
not
racism.
And that definitely does exist. It does exist.
Wait. I could go with the classism stuff, but when you look down the line, the people who suffered the most and the people who've been here the longest and the people who contributed the most, I'm saying this as an Asian American, are African Americans.
Oh, we know.
So
who
I don't buy that
most.
shit about class. For me personally, I'm sorry. I do believe.
No, but no. You can't dismiss classism exists in our community.
I'm not dismissing it. Wealth exists, and a disparity of wealth and poverty exists. And so, in that sense, class exists in terms of deprivation, especially in terms of deprivation.
But let me tell you something. Let me say. Okay, I'm gonna let you say that, but I got to get this point out.
Yeah.
What I mean by that, the classism that exists. I remember going up to Robert Bob. Congressman Conyers had me organize a few talk shows over at the station in Highland Park. His name escapes me right now.
Yeah.
But he had me organizing talk shows over there. I remember putting together a show with Bankalay, with the congressman, with Keith Johnson, who was the union president at that time, Robert Bob. And so I'm going around, and he's allowing me to move forward this education justice agenda, even afforded me an opportunity to sit in on some of the emergency manager meetings. And so I remember, constantly going after Robert Bob saying, hey, we need our teachers' money back. We need our teachers' money back. And we need this. And I'm like, I'm an education advocate. And he turned to me and said, an education advocate? You better become a oh my gosh, the word just a capitalist. He said you better become a capitalist.
And they're all clients.
And I'm like, so I get it. Some of our black leadership may have started out right. They may have started out with the right intent. And then they met the same evil brick wall that I meet in trying to fight for justice. And some of them give up. And they say, you know what? It's easier for me to go along, get the contracts, get the money, and have less headache. Because trust me, it's not easy to fight for your community. So I not only fight for my community, I fight some of the people that should be helping to hold my arms up.
So let me bring class in another way, because I'm not saying that class don't exist, right? I'm saying we have race politics in Detroit, especially when it's black people suppressing black people. And I come from the caste system, so I can give you
Yes.
all kinds of poetry about how people look alike suppress one another. That stuff isn't foreign to me in that way, but it's still caste and it's still race to me. But on the other hand, we have this polarized discourse and gentrification. Those are black and white families moving in, right? And so what is this new discourse that we need to have about Detroit so that whether we're talking about new people moving in or Detroiters that are here, what do both sides need in their congresswoman?
Right, exactly. And that's what they need. They need somebody who's
It's not
willing,
about poor, it's about middle
right,
class.
Right, it's about middle class. It's about working people.
Yes.
It's about somebody who understands the attacks.
Yes.
All the people downriver, they want to live a good life just like the people in the city of Detroit.
That's
Sometimes
right.
they have felt like stepchildren to larger municipalities and cities, but they're working class people that should not have their unions taken away.
That's right.
Prevailing wage attack. These are issues that I've fought against. The right to work that have been brought into our state. These are things that I've understood and I've fought against, and I've been a friend to labor, and not just labor leadership, but to the boots on the ground, the people in the community. And that's what we have to understand. But that doesn't mean that we're adamantly opposed to business
That's
growing
right.
and development coming in corporations.
Yeah.
I mean, I sat in rooms where I was the only black person, let alone woman. As a matter of fact, I remember in the legislature, it was actually on April Fool's Day that I was invited to a business leaders Michigan. All white men. And I'm looking around the room like, this has to be an April Fool's joke. It was about good jobs. I
my God.
Yeah, it was about good jobs.
That's not fair.
Maybe
It's not fair. It's not fair, but I was the only one in the meeting.
You're on candid camera.
Right, but I understood and was willing when it made sense that we would attract and retain good jobs. And this legislation was about jobs that could be lost because of competition to Wisconsin, to Ohio.
That's right.
So understanding
That's
the
just
impact of contiguous states,
Yeah.
and I'm willing. So I'm not so.
Life is more
so
than collateral damage then.
absolutely. So the thing is, you got to understand is just because someone says yes,
Yeah.
I believe that the African American community deserves the same reparations that Asians and Chinese and others have gotten, doesn't mean that we're opposed to anybody else.
That's right.
Right.
And so when you stand for justice, regardless to what color you are, people who stand for justice, who believe in justice, will stand with you. I have support in the Grosse Points, in Taylor, in Romulus, throughout this metropolis that's supporting my candidacy, even those that can't vote for me, because they know I lift my voice against injustice. And that's what this is about.
So what makes this even more important now that the 14th district doesn't exist anymore?
It makes it more important because for the first time in the history of our state, we could have no black representation.
That's true.
And I'm not just one that's calling for black representation. Yes, I said black leadership matters, and it does. But you want people that have had the experience of the majority of our constituents.
Right.
And so with the levels of poverty that exist in our community, I came from a single home. I had a father who was incarcerated. I've lost a home before. I've been without before. But I continue to fight and to persevere despite my circumstances to improve my life and to try to serve as an example for my students that no matter where you come from, no matter what you've experienced, you can, like Maya Angelou say, and still I rise. And so that's what it's about, to have a leader that can inspire our young people to achieve and to strive for something, to inspire the single mother to know that that is not your fate, that you don't have to remain in a place where you are considered left behind, but you can thrive. The businessman, the small business owner that has not gotten fair access to capital, to understand that I will fight for them and to help their businesses grow, because small businesses, President Obama let us know, is one of the greatest employers across our country, but they deserve the same level of investment that our bankers and our corporations do as well. And so that's the kind of leader I am. I'm not ashamed of my background. I'm not ashamed of where I come from. I'm a girl that has faith. I have faith roots, and I'm willing to fight like hell for those who have been cast away and pushed aside and left to not live a good life. And that's why I'm running this race with all my might and all my fight to help lift us all throughout the 13th district.
You know, Sunanda, before you do the last commercial, Sherry, you raise an interesting point. I'm hosting the congressional forum at the Detroit Yacht Club.
April 28th.
Yeah, and Sunanda is emceeing, and Anthony Adams is one of the moderators.
And
So
Nicole
is
Smalls.
Nicole Small. And one of my old quarter milers, Tim Moore from DET IPTV, is going to be televising
April
it.
28th, DYC.
Yeah.
That's
What time?
a Thursday.
At 6 o'clock p.m., and you've already accepted
Yes,
some of the
Yep.
others. But you raise an interesting point, though, because Ralph Godby had accepted. You know, my old buddy Ralph Godby, the police chief, who got my book, by the way. But he's pulled out. And the reason he's pulled out is he said, you know, African Americans are going to cancel each other's votes, and you just made a reference to that, and that's one of my greatest fears. Speak to that just for a minute before we do this last commercial.
Yeah, we know that big money is in this race.
Oh, absolutely.
We know that, and we have to make sure though that the gatekeepers who have put forward an agenda to endorse candidates that whose numbers, just basic name ID polls, have shown that they're not viable candidates. That shows that there is an agenda, a classism agenda, against a candidate that can win. And so it's unfortunate that leadership is playing into the hand of handing this seat to someone who can't win.
And
you need a candidate that is out here working. I have on my sneakers today because I'm moving around. I'm trying to get around. Nobody's out here doing things for me. Nobody's planning events for me. Nobody's going to make the ask for me. I'm calling and making the ask for myself.
So
I'm working all day long. And so you need candidates
This is
that are
classic
ready to rumble.
dictatorship. This is classic dictatorship. You're going to promote people into positions who can't hold those positions.
No.
Or not hold it, and then they can't leave those positions because their whole status is based on your administration.
Yes.
And they can never go anywhere else. So they're going to hold on to that position whether they can do
they-
public service or not.
I say this, Dr.
right?
Sanana, they
Yeah.
can't even get the position because
And
this
any
is
other
not an
place.
appointment. This is a rumble. This is a war. So I'm out here every day working, rumbling, fighting, talking, speaking, dialing, driving, moving. This is a war. You can't win a war with somebody appointing you. No. And so if that's what it's going to take, line up behind the right candidate that has a proven track record, that is out here fighting for the people.
Now, voting is important, but how
Yes.
about issues about securing the vote in
Okay,
Detroit?
you can do the commercial now.
And
now he wants to do the
before we
commercial.
talk
You
about
gotta
the
do
vote, you are watching the John Telford Detroit Show coming to you live, sizzling on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and other top social media platforms. Please like, follow, share, comment, subscribe to us and the other programming that we do offer here in WJZZ, the coolest station in the world. Please do not forget to pick up your copy of A Life on the Run, Dr. Telford's Untold, an amazing biography about not just activism and education, but coming through these times that we're talking about right now. And we're talking too.
Whoa.
Yes.
And you can get a copy of that book by calling 313-460-8272. I'm selling it on my other show, my radio show, WCHB. And, I got to say this. I mail that book with an invoice, and people send me the check. And I got to say, it's only been one time twice in hundreds that I got stiffed.
You got Hugh Perkins, Jeffrey Feiger, Kenneth Cockrell, John A. Powell, Wayne Dyer, Keith Johnson,
Yeah,
Spencer
Wayne's
Hayward. Just some of the people who've read this
Endorsed
book.
the book.
Yes, just some of the people in the circle of this book. An amazing read about life and politics.
86 years young.
And I got to get in
Salute.
I got to get in one last commercial too. Virginia Starkey, fondly known as V, the proprietress of V's Boutique, offers a wide variety of fine clothing and accessories for ladies. You can find all sizes of women's fine apparel in V's one-stop excellent customer service at V's Boutique, that you can't find anywhere else in Detroit anymore. V's is at 16423 East Warren Avenue. That's right around the corner from the Alger Theater, right around the corner from one of the few libraries that's still open. You know, I was running for the library board, but that's 16423 East Warren Avenue. So please patronize V's Boutique for Ladies.
All right.
You were asking.
Getting the vote out, right?
Yeah, so getting the vote out. We all agree that's absolutely paramount to vote. People have risked their lives, died for the right to vote. But now a lot of young people are rightly asking, how secure is our vote? And I know the people who were running for, what's it called? The board, what's it called? Elections.
The clerk?
Thank you.
Right.
I'm getting old, all right? A couple of the candidates
She's
running for
getting
city
old, man.
clerk were saying that there's about a 72% error rate
She's not
in
getting old.
collecting city votes. So, you know, it's important to vote, but how secure is our vote?
So we I think our voters, and here's what I'm understanding. I think our voters, especially lay citizens, you have like different layers of people that are on the southeastern Michigan landscape that are very involved, know everything that is going on with Voting Rights Act, knowing about legislation that changed straight party ticket voting, knowing the games and the policies that are being put forward in the legislature and across this country for that matter that would try to restrict or make the voting rights of our citizens very challenging. But what they don't know is there's another layer of people that are like kind of tuning that out.
Yeah.
They're tuning it out because they feel like a lot of it is rhetoric and that the people that have represented them have not engaged them at the scale that they should. And here's what I've learned about service, public service. When you serve your residents well, a lot of which have my phone number, my personal phone number, a lot of which know where I live because they've been to my house for brunches that I've cooked, a lot of them who actually have become like family.
Yeah.
They respect you enough, and when they don't believe what they hear on the news or in the paper, they'll call you.
Yep.
If all of our representatives, senators, city council members, etc., and I'm not saying some don't, but if more of them did, we wouldn't have this level of apathy that exists. And so, we know there are a myriad of things that need to be addressed with our voting processes. But more than that, people need to be inspired to hope again, to believe again, to vote again. They won't get involved at the scale that they need to unless they believe in the candidate that's on the ballot. And so that's why it's incumbent upon all of us to be a part of getting behind the candidate that we believe in. People watching me every day.
Yeah.
They watching stories. They watching a live videos.
Because
but
Shane,
you can't hear or see
there's
any
no
of them.
objective roster of candidates, right? If you went up to the city clerk website just to figure out who the candidates were, where they're running, where they're coming from, there's no objective information about candidates. It's up to citizens,
so
right?
there's things that could be done differently. But if you want the votes of citizens, I've maintained my own e-blast list since before I became a state rep, before the EAA, because I still have old emails that I can go back and search when I was blasting them about the EAA. So that was like 2008. So I would say probably 2004, 2005. I started my e-blast chain, and I've maintained that list and tried to update people on things that were happening. Right now, think about it. The redistricting Michigan.
Yeah.
This is one of the biggest issues impacting us in the state of Michigan. Why did our black leadership did not stand up and our Democratic
Party? People are confused. They think it's the Republicans who did it.
But let me just say this. Let me finish this. Let me finish this.
Go ahead.
People get caught in the game of pointing Republican. If you read Ed Sarpolis' report, and if you talk to the Keith stalwarts of the world, or the Lamar Lemons of the world who served in the legislature, they will tell you when they worked with Republicans, they were able to maintain minority majority seats. We don't listen to history. I always go back and talk to the people that served previously. So now here we are, could potentially lose in Congress. We could lose in the House. We could lose in the Senate. Why isn't anybody speaking up? But I get blamed.
Yeah.
I get blamed because I move forward. Thank you, Attorney Nabia Yad, for assisting me and Rep. Yancey in moving forward with a state lawsuit. I guess it's time for us to go.
John Telford Detroit Show. Thank you, Sherry, for coming. You have been magnificent.
Sherry, we are not done with you. We're not done with you.
Honey, I speaks the truth.
You will also see Sherry April 28th
Yes.
UIC when she's talking with other congressional candidates. Check them all out. And you've been watching the John Telford Detroit Show, coming to you live on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right,
join us. Great late John, Dr. Wayne Dyer, who said that John Telford not only has a warrior's heart, but a poet's soul. Please join us every Wednesday, 10 a.m. on WJZZ. We'll see you again this time next week.
All right, and text Run Sherry Run to 66866. Text Run Sherry Run to 66866.